Hey everyone, in today's video we'll be going over the Zeon cards added in GD03, starting with the green Zeon Cyclops teams. So we'll go over the potential and playability with this deck, starting with the units. In the bottom left, they're just level 3 cost 2 generic Cyclops team trait link units. The High Gog, I believe that's how pronounced, is when linked. If you have another Cyclops team unit in play, deploy one rested High Gog Cyclops team AP 2 HP 1 unit token. And then for the main units I want to say in this archetype is the Zaku 2 FZ. When paired, if there are 4 more Cyclops team cards in your trash, deploy 2 rested Add Balloon AP 0 HP 1 tokens. These tokens cannot be set as active or paired with a pilot. And while you have a unit with add balloon in its card name in play, this unit cannot receive any enemy battle damage. So it's an interesting effect. First off, just being able to swing in anything for free and not take damage as long as you have these little balloons on your field. But again, needing 4 or more in your trash to deploy these two is pretty restrictive, I think, when you only have these 4 units. So that's what, 4, 8, 12, 16 possible units, and you need 4. So you need a fourth of them in your trash already. But it's cards, so it could also include the command pilots and pilots, which we'll go over here in a sec. But I think it's just the card pool is not very large for Cyclops team, and needing 4 in them can be a bit restrictive starting out. You may just have to just put this on the field and not link it or not do anything with it and not get the balloons and just kind of get it in your trash and hope to see another pair. And then for the LR, level 4, cost 3, Camphor, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It is a unit with a burst, and its burst effect is choose one Cyclops team pilot card from your trash, add it to your hand, and then when paired Cyclops team pilot, all of your Cyclops team units may choose an active unit with 5 or less AP as their attack target during this turn. So I do believe this does count as a token, so there is a good amount here, but we'll go here in a sec where I don't think currently you can get the full potential that they meant with that effect. And then for the pilots, we have Bernard. He's a 0 AP 1 HP unit, and increase this unit's AP by an amount equal to the number of Cyclops team pilot cards / command cards with unique names in your trash. So we'll get to that in a sec. I believe the max you can do is 4. There are currently 2 pilots and 2 command pilots. So you can make this a 4-1. And it only counts for 1 unique, so you can't just have 2 copies of Bernard in there and make it a 2 AP. And then the other pilot's Mikhail Kaminsky. Attack, choose one of your Cyclops team units. It gains breach 1 during this turn. So it can choose itself under my assumption if it's correct here. And plus 2 AP, 1 HP is not a bad pilot. And then since we're going over the Zaku 2 and Bernard care about commands and command pilots, let's go over those real quick. So this is over the river and through the woods. Main, choose one enemy unit that is level 5 or lower. Deal damage to it equal to the number of friendly unit tokens in play. So this, if you're running this command, you kind of want other cards in your deck that generate tokens. So basically, you just want a board full of tokens to be able to just pop something potentially for 4 or 5 or even 6 if your whole board is tokens. And then how many miles to the battlefield? Main, deploy 1 High Gog Cyclops team AP plus 2 HP 1 unit token. So this command actually does what High Gog's linked ability does for only 1 resource and less cards utilized, which is, I think, in my opinion, way stronger than actually playing the unit. But you kind of need the unit to get the Zaku 2 effect off. So that's where like this whole effect of this deck needing cards in trash but not having a lot of Cyclops team units and commands available to it kind of gets a little clunky. And then the base Cyclops team, deploy, add 1 of your shields to your hand. All friendly unit tokens get AP plus 1 during your opponent's turn. So I guess it's essentially, hey, if you want to deal with these tokens, especially these balloons, you're at least going to get 1, I'm going to pin you for 1 at least. And then, so since this deck kind of cares about tokens, let's just look at other Zeon cards that deploy tokens. So the Goof, deploy 1 rested Zaku 2 1/1 unit token. Char Zaku 2 during pair destroyed, deploy 1 rested Char Zaku 2 AP 3 HP 1 unit token. The Sedan, it lets you choose an active enemy unit with 5 or less AP as its attack target for your tokens, which is pretty good. And then the Valedictorian command, choose one of your unit tokens that can't receive battle damage from enemy units during this turn. So technically, I guess you could just bait them to swing into your balloon and then just throw this command out there and be like, hey, sorry, try again. And then the Famil lets you just deploy another Char Zaku 2 token out. Fortress Defense lets you play 2 1/1 unit tokens. And then for other just regular Zeon synergy, the Zanzibar lets you cheat out. I think all the Cyclops units are level 4 or lower, so this lets you cheat one out for free. The Gelgu is Zeon trait in general. You won't get the Cyclops effect from Mikhail Kaminsky, and then Bernard just cares that there's other Cyclops team command pilots or commands or pilots in your trash. And then the Lala can actually choose one of the other Cyclops team link units and then give it breach. So you can technically give one unit breach, and then on Mikhail's give another one of your Cyclops team breach. So you have 2 units with breach. And then the Elmeth, this lets you reveal one green Zeon pilot. All the Cyclops team are Zeon, so you can kind of choose that and then put it back in your hand. The Kikoroga, if you have another Cyclops link unit that's linked on the field, you give this unit breach 5. That's pretty strong. And then Citizens Take a Stand also just lets you give all your units AP +2, including your tokens, which is pretty strong, especially if you're running that just generate token machine. And then Neo Zeon, there's not that much synergy here. The Zaku 1 Sniper lets you support 1, so you can potentially give one of your tokens +1 AP, and then deploy. Look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Zeon, Neo Zeon unit card, you may reveal it, add it to your hand, return any remaining card to the bottom of your deck. So that kind of helps you get an additional draw, especially for running green, red Zeon, which depending on your pilots, you may not have enough draw power for the commands. And then full frontal when paired, you may choose one Neo Zeon unit card that's level 4 or lower from your hand. So you can just deploy a card for free here. It's pretty strong. So the conclusion for Cyclops is, Bernard's effect is interesting, potentially making that Zaku 2 FZ a 5/3 that can't receive battle damage while the ad balloon tokens are on the board. But again, you need 4 Cyclops team's cards in trash to even get the tokens, and then you need all those commands. You need to run a lot of those Cyclops commands to kind of, because you don't want to just rely on having Kaminsky and Bernard in trash to get AP increases for Bernard. And I don't think those commands are as strong as the other commands in the game. And then also just with those ad balloon tokens, I mean, there's a lot of cards in different colors, and especially with red and white, that you can just ping things with low level or low HP, which can kind of just blow it up and not give you that free and swing clear with the Zaku 2 FC each single time. And then the Hygog, again, the command pilot does the same thing here, deploys the same token without needing to link a unit and then have another unit on board. So you're essentially playing 3 cards to get this one little token, when you can just play the command and just get it with 1 card. Camphor's Burst effect allows you to grab either Bernard or Kaminsky, which is strong in my opinion. And it also allows your Cyclops units to attack active units while giving them breach, which is pretty strong here. I think he's the only one that you can kind of sprinkle into another deck, potentially, but I think with GD03, these synergies that multiple decks can do, especially archetypes, is just so much higher that you don't really want to just play this card that only relies on Cyclops teams to be able to give breach or attack into active units. So it's kind of like a waste of a potential when you're building your deck. Ultimately, I think this deck needs additional support, and it's another one of those examples where they just kind of put something in the game that's half-baked. We've seen this with the Age, the Vegan, AU. Just they release cards to promote these different shows that they've had, but ultimately you can't really play the deck and it be viable. So going on to the red Zeon, there's only 3 red Zeon cards here, and this is a bit controversial since Nian is a Zeon in a new type and not a clan card. And then we have the G-Fred LR here, which is activate main once per turn, 1 resource, exile 1 pilot card from your trash, deal 1 damage to all enemy units. Being to ping something for free basically is pretty strong. And then when linked during this turn, this unit may choose an active enemy unit with AP equal to or less than its unit as its attack target. So if you're not supporting or boosting its AP, that would be a 5 or less AP unit. And then the level 4 cost 2 G-Fred. It has a burst, which is really strong, and if there are 3 or less enemy shields, deploy 1 rested G-Fred AP 4 HP 3 unit token. So it actually deploys a token with 1 more HP than this actual card was. So technically you kind of want this in life, because you're like, hey, I deployed a better unit for free. And then Nian, when linked, place the top card of your deck in your trash. If you place a Zeon clan card with this effect, choose 1 enemy unit, deal 1 damage to it. So with these cards, I mean, The G-Fred LR is very playable in a lot of red decks, given you don't really need the pilot to do the exile effect to deal 1 damage, and at level 6 that shouldn't be hard at all to do. If you're going to run multiple copies though, like 3 or 4, then you may want to consider adding Nian just to help the link attack potential. Like, you don't want to be late in the game and all you have is these G-Fred LRs in your hand and you can't link it and swing for game, right? And then I think Nian's link effect makes her playability like very, very clunky in red, white, and green, red clan decks, given a lot of the red in red, white is Neo Zeon or Cyber New type. And then she also doesn't have the clan trait to help link with other units aside from the G-Fred. And then the new level 8 cost 7 G-Quux Omega Cyclone. The Omega Cyclone is strong with suppression and deploy effect of dealing 3 damage with the potential 4th from Nian's linked effect of milling 1 card off the top of your deck. But I just think that like in green red clan you can't really, like Machu's link effect, you can't draw it, right? And it goes to the bottom of your deck, right? So if you get a G-Fred, bottom of your deck, Nian, bottom of your deck, right? So you're kind of just stunting your potential there to kind of finish out games. And then in red white, she doesn't trigger the Qubili win paired effect because she's not Neo Zeon. And then she can't link with the level 4 Katsu Kshatriya either because she's not a Cyber New type. So it's kind of like a clunky mix in those 2 decks if they want to run her. Ideally, she feels better in a green red Zeon Neo Zeon deck. She helps get cards potentially in trash. So there is, I guess, an argument here that her best support here is for the big Zam, getting those units into trash so they can link off the pinging damage to blockers. The G-Fred level 4 Katsu is an interesting unit given it has the burst effect, and the burst effect deploys a better unit, right? I'm just wary of running 2 HP cards because in the game now it's just so easy for red to just ping you for 2 or even 3 now with the new command that it's hard to kind of play that without just wanting it to be in life, right? So ideally, I think that red Zeon is probably I think both the green and red Zeon that they've added into the game is not very good. It's not very strong. Obviously, I think Nian's going to get a lot more support going forward because she is a popular pilot and she is from G-Quux, the newer series that they've shown. So I think they just kind of introduced both the Cyclops team and Nian in the G-Fred, and then eventually they'll get more support and make it more playable as the game goes along. But I know a lot of fans are disappointed with Neon not having clan. I don't think her having clan would have made clan unstoppable, but I think it just kind of makes it a whatever card, right? I think the downside is way more impactful to the game than it would have been if she just was a clan traded card. But that's not our call to make, and they did what they did. But I just hope that I would have hoped that they stopped doing this half-baked concept in GD03. Given like GD02 basically forced a couple decks to become meta and what everybody basically played because they did this, right? They released archetypes and colors and units and pilots that necessarily weren't fully fleshed out, so you kind of just ignored them for something that was more consistent. So we'll see what comes next for these 2 archetypes. Hopefully they don't forget about them. I mean, they haven't forgot about Age, they haven't forgot about Vegan, so that is a good sign. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel for more GD03 or Gundam TCG content, and have a good day. Thank you.